important video. I didn't think I would ever have to make this video, but apparently I have to because one of my favorite content creators has stooped so low, so very, very low. I didn't believe that Jack's Films could do anything wrong. He was one of the big boys of YouTube, meme big boys of YouTube. He just came out with this video randomly, and it is just disgusting. I feel deeply personally offended by this video, and of course I have to respond to this. This is just a horrible video. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Jack's Films made this disgusting hit piece on Shrek 3. I didn't think that he would go this low for views, but apparently he's just turning into one of those random hatred channels that just hate things for the sake of hating things, for views and attention. So of course, I'm going to point by point deconstruct this video and see the flaws that it has, because of course it has flaws. It's a horrible, just disgusting hit piece on this perfect film.
Why Shrek the Third is easily the worst of the Shreks.
One thing I'd like to point out is the inconsistency, because in the title it says why Shrek 3 is the worst Shrek, but in the video it says why Shrek the Third is easily the worst of the Shreks. You gotta get your title right, you gotta be consistent.
1. Too many characters. In Shrek the Third, who do they introduce? They introduce the princesses? Arthur Pendragon? Merlin? None of these characters are core characters. Gun to my head, I could not tell you a single thing they do.
This point is definitely very poorly researched. Jack's Films must know that adding more characters doesn't mean like a bad movie. It doesn't mean it's a bad movie just because there are more characters. It's a bad movie because there are bad characters, not because there are more characters. I can agree that the princesses probably shouldn't have been in the movie. They were really there just for one running joke of, oh look, they're princesses, but look, they're doing cool things, meh. But all of the characters, besides the princesses, are vital to the plot of the movie. There are a lot of characters introduced in Shrek 1, if you count all of the minor side characters, but that film is a masterpiece because those were all good characters. In Shrek 2, they do introduce some useless characters, such as Puss in Boots, but it was still a good movie because the majority of the characters were good. And so is this. The majority of the characters are good and vital to the story.
You know what ruined Spider-Man 3? Too many characters. Hey! You know what ruined The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Too many characters!
Okay, 1, that wasn't the main reason that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3 flopped. There are many different reasons. And 2, why did you show the Rhino there? The Rhino is not a main character. It's barely even a character. He's just shoved in at the end for some cheap fan service.
Who are the villains in Shrek 2? Well, the iconic fairy godmother and her bumbling sidekick of a son, Prince Charming. Now, can you recall who the villain is in Shrek the Third? I'll wait. Yeah, you're having trouble. You know why? It's because the villain in Shrek 3 is Prince Charming again.
He says the word again, like he was the main villain of the previous movie, but no. He was more of a side villain to the real villain, which was the fairy godmother. It isn't such a strange concept to have the side villain become a main villain in a movie.
They made a Shrek 4? Yes, they did, and it's a delight, because the villain is Rumpelstiltskin, a well-rounded, quirky villain.
I noticed they didn't say among other things when he was talking about this, so I'm assuming that he's thinking that just because the villain is good, that means that the entire movie is good, which is not true. Just because one big aspect of the movie is bad, that does not mean that the movie is bad. And just because one big aspect is good, doesn't mean the entire movie is good. There's an entire movie of good and bad things that you could talk about, but you just solely think that it's a good movie just because one aspect of it is good, which is not a good mindset to have as a reviewer of things.
Shrek the Third is superfluous. Shrek 1 introduces us to this wonderful character and this world. It's the origin story. In Shrek 2, They do world building and they flesh out these characters, you know? They create more of a world. In Shrek the Third, they have babies? I guess that's the big takeaway from Shrek the Third, but
I see that he's trying to, like, gloss over the point of Shrek 3 because he's obviously biased towards Shrek 3 for some strange reason, but there is a point to Shrek 3. Shrek 3 establishes the character of Shrek more in the movie. It's another character establishment movie, except this time it expands Shrek's character more instead of in Shrek 2 where they establish the world and more characters. And just saying that the only thing that happened in Shrek 3 is they have babies is not even correct at all. Like, the babies barely even show up in the movie. Like, one dream sequence and maybe a scene at the end. As I can clearly tell, you would have no idea what the word superfluous means, and you can obviously see that the Shrek the 3 does not have that, yes.
But guess what? Shrek 4 opens with the montage of the babies. You don't need to see Shrek 3. Like, there's no point. It serves no purpose. Shrek 4 recaps everything perfectly with the baby montage.
Saying that they don't need to see Shrek 3 just because there's a montage of the babies at the beginning of the movie is not even correct at all. Having children is probably a big plot point that you don't want to just gloss over. Like, imagine if your favorite movie series just randomly, oh look, a character is now dead, even though we didn't see it happen on or off screen. It's just first movie, characters alive and happy. Second movie, characters just dead, completely gone. It's in canon that it is dead, but just there's no mention of how they died or anything. That would be confusing and a bad thing in the movie. So why would you just randomly skip a vital plot point in the Shrek canon?
First you start on the left with Shrek 1, and then obviously you go to Shrek 2, and then when you finish Shrek 2, you boop, 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 just skip 3, go right to 4.
Why would you just randomly skip a movie in the series, especially when it is established that this movie is part of the canon? If Shrek 3 wasn't part of the canon, the babies would not exist, which the babies don't really serve a purpose that much, so that would be a good thing, but it is the vital part of the development of Shrek's character. It isn't just some random side project movie that you can just gloss over. No, it is an actual movie, part of the plot, that needs to exist.
They ignore Shrek 3 hardcore. At no point do any of the characters reminisce on the events of the previous movie. Donkey's never like, "Hey yo Shrek, remember all those crazy characters we conversed with?" Like,
I don't really get this point. Like, why would a character just like why would they just make a scene where they just, oh yeah, remember the events of the last movie? Those sure were fun. That was a pointless whatever. Let's go back to the original movie that we're actually in instead of reminiscing on what happened last time that you probably already saw. And plus it doesn't make sense from a movie making standpoint, because why would you need to have a reminder of what happened in the last movie in the third movie in the series? Like, you're not going to see Shrek 3 first. No one's going to see the third movie in the quadrilogy first. So, they don't need a reminder of the things that happened in the plot in the third movie. When you've already seen the first and second one, it's guaranteed that you've seen the first and second ones, because you wouldn't be going to the third one if you haven't seen them, unless you're a horrible person that doesn't know what they're doing.
you see, there is a light at the end of the tunnel here, because DreamWorks has confirmed that they are indeed making a Shrek 5 coming out at some point in 2019.
I am excited for Shrek 5 though. Shrek 5 all the way. Shrek 5 will be the Oscar-winning greatest movie of 2019. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. This is just a disgusting hit piece, and it's sad to see Jack Strom stoop to this level of attention-grabbing hatred. So, I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully a lot better than this disgusting ness that we had to witness today. So, I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.